So finally been able to move on with the Condor now. I've got the paint on the underside, so we've got ROM 65 underneath there. I've used XF23 straight out the bottle, which I think is a good representation of that colour. So that's a Tamiya XF23, so I'm quite happy with that. And I've also sprayed the small parts here. I've just got them pushed into a little bit of blue tack. So I've started on that, and then the next top colours are going to be ROM 72 and 73, and I've got the two colours here from MRP. So I'll be using those. Not totally sure on what the colours are like. They look slightly out, but I will persevere with them, and we'll see how we get on. I've seen online that some of the colours, they don't look too good, and the MRP greens do have a few problems. So once I've got the camera on the top, it's going to be a splinter pattern. I've left the area where the windscreen shield for the gunner here goes, so that's going to go on afterwards, because the underneath of it needs to be painted as well. Rescribing and finishing off the fuselage did give me a few problems, but I've managed to get to the end of it. I did find it a little bit difficult to get clean panel lines and to actually get everything sort of tightened up the way I'd like it, but that's all done now, so it's all fine. And I have glued on the engines as well, to give the continuity for the colours once we start painting. So obviously they've got the blue underneath there, and then as the camouflage goes on top, that's going to all tie in as well. So we'll check back in once the two top green colours are on in the splinter pattern, probably give it a gloss coat, and then we can check in on the decaling stage. So I've got the parts for the ROM 72 applied now, which is quite a dark green colour by the looks of this, and I've just roughly done the pattern as it's going to be. Now I'm going to sharpen up the edges by doing a bit of masking, and then apply the ROM 73 on top of that. And then I'm going to have to run back over, I think, where I haven't quite gone down far enough on some of the nacelles here, like this. I think it should probably come down as far as where my thumb is there. So what I plan to do is to get the ROM 73 on, check that the splinter camo is correct, and so there's no overspray, and if there is, then I can clean it up with the 72, and then once I'm happy with that, come back over and put the parts on for the 72, and then go finally to the underneath here, and then just tighten up this with some tight masking, and then just apply some of the Tamiya ROM 65 back on, because that is going to cover a lot better over the MRP, I would think, because I can sort of get it on there, and then that should finish everything off. The only thing left after that is the undercarriage, and because of how it's actually showing, I was just going to hand paint this with some of the Tamiya, I think XF22 ROM grey. I'll just go straight for that, it's not going to matter on this particular part here. So I'll just paint that in by hand, and the inside of the doors, and then we're somewhere near it then, so it'll be a gloss coat after that, and then on to decaling. Okay, so that is the two ROM colours on, so that's 72, and what you can see now is 73, and 72 is what's been masked up. So to avoid any trickery, I'm going to take this off now on camera so we can sort of see what we're left with. So I'll speed this bit up, and then we'll have a look in a bit more detail at the end of that. Right, and that is it, completely unmasked. I'm not sure how well this is going to show up on camera, but this is the MRP XF ROM 72 and 73. Now, I don't know much about these colours, and if you look at most paint ranges, you'll find they aren't on there. So some of the paint mixes don't have it. I think the only two that I can see that do have it any sense is the MRP and Guns or Mr. Hobby. Often with the paint mixes and that sort of thing, you'll find that this is the two colours that aren't catered for. Now, I don't know why that is. Probably something to do with popularity of the marine subjects, I guess. There's not a huge amount of maritime subjects, I guess, but let's see if I can get down close. Yeah, now hopefully that shows up. So, I mean, I would say the 72 is a lot more sort of purple. That's this one here, and it's a lot more purple than I would expect it to be. The 63 is a nice green, and it does look green. So who knows? Here's a little sort of on test of the MRP 72 and 73. I would say the 73 is pretty good. I'd stay clear of the 72. Try and mix something up yourself. Looks a lot like the grey violet colour, which is a little bit more like 75. It's more that kind of tone, I would say. It's a very, very strange colour. Right, well, that was a little bit of a trial, getting the paint sorted on this one. It's been one of those kits, I'm not going to lie. I'm enjoying every step of the way, but it has been a complete challenge, and that's a good thing. That's how I'm viewing it anyway. So, here, hopefully, you will agree that this is a much better colour. I don't know what was going on with the colour before. I can guarantee and go down on video now that I cannot endorse MRP ROM 72. It is not the correct colour, and I don't know what's going on with it, but it's completely wrong. Now, what I've done here is made a mix with Tamiya. If all else fails, trusty Tamiya. That's the way. So I've made a mix for both colours because I wasn't too sure, and it turned out that the mix that I'd made for ROM 73 is more or less bang on with the MRP colour. So I've left that, and I've continued to use the MRP colour for touch-ups. And here you can see this is getting somewhere. I mean, we're in the ballpark. I'm not sure whether this is still correct, but we're in the ballpark. It's a kind of a turquoisey green. I've seen everything from a very a very light sort of, I don't know how to describe it. It's a very strange colour. Turquoise green, I guess, is the best way I can. A sort of very bluey, strange green. Down to this colour, which is almost like a grey. It's bordering on a bluey kind of German grey colour, and that's where I've got the mix to, and that's what I'm happy with. I used a couple mixes online again, which didn't really get anywhere close to where I wanted, so I just kept adding a few colours, and I've got it to this point. So that is the painting complete, and this is now just going to have a gloss coat and then be ready for decaling. Now, I've also gone ahead and done the propellers, which are just straight ROM 70, the dark green colour, and underside. I've actually gone over it. This is another interesting point with the MRP ROM 65 after using the Tamiya colour. Not a great difference. I just felt maybe from being a bit over the top, I just felt that the Tamiya colour wasn't quite blue enough. I wanted to get it, 65, ROM 65 has a real kind of bluey colour to it. It's like those early Battle of Britain Messerschmitts with the colour running right up the fuselage. Same colour, and it's usually blue. It's not really a light blue, it is a very kind of, bluey blue, I guess. So I tried to replicate that a little bit. Now I've got the tyres on as well, just sprayed those with the rubber black colour, and then I've painted in here with Mr. Hobby ROM 02 and gone all in to the undercarriage. So we are now ready to get this into the gloss coat. So I will now put that on. I'm going to be using simple stuff, basically new, the modern version of Future, which is this. and yeah, hopefully, well, I don't foresee any problems, so now we can push on with the build and try and finish it. I'm going to be weathering this one with oils, and so that's going to be a bit of a longer process, but I do tend to take a few shortcuts when it comes to weathering aircraft, so trying to give this a bit of a beaten look. This being a late aircraft again, it's an aircraft that probably would have been made in 42, 43, and I'm depicting one that's actually still in existence in May 1945 in Berlin, so I'm guessing it would have been in a pretty banged up state. So yeah, hopefully that's great. I'm going to begin the decaling on the Condor here, but I'm not going to film it because, as you can see, it's a little bit big. I think half the time I'm going to be off the camera, so I'm just going to head on and do these separately. I will be using swastikas from the Tech Mod sheet, so I'll be adding those, and this is the decal sheet that comes with the kit, and it is printed by Cartograph. It's good, you know, they're Revell decals, so they're pretty good, dated 2006, so a little bit old. Looking at these in the light, I may have an issue because they've got quite a bit of I don't know what it would be, almost like a sort of mould, because this is an older kit, it was a second-hand kit. It's like there's something on the decal sheet anyway that's showing that there could be problems. So hopefully there isn't. You never know with a decal sheet like this, you might put it straight into water and it goes to pieces, but hopefully not. I will update you if that is the case, but if not, I'm just going to push on, get them decaled, and then we'll talk about it afterwards. Progressing on nicely now with the decals all on, so just a bit of a rundown with these decals. There are quite a lot on the sheet, but not all are applied. There's not any stencil data on the bottom, which I don't mind, but it's just a thing to note. I would imagine there would be, and some more modern kits would give you all of the stenciling, whether you like that or not. That's another matter. We've got the two large German crosses here. Now, it is worth mentioning that these white parts are almost transparent, which sounds strange. I mean, you can't see it there, but they are so close to being transparent, it's a slight worry. They haven't let anything through, and obviously down here it's a lighter colour, so it's not such an issue, but it's just worth noting. I wouldn't have liked them being any more thin or transparent, put it like that. You've got the large crosses here. Again, the white is solid. On putting it down I was worried, but it is fine. So just about perfect there, I suppose, but it was pretty close. I was a little bit worried. We've got the swastika on here, and that's come from a Tech Mod sheet that I've got, and that's the largest one on there. It's worth noticing, mentioning, someone on the comments, I never really looked at it, made the point of people tend to follow panel lines or the fin in that sort of thing, but it does seem that all of these swastikas were always put on at a 45-degree angle. I've looked at a couple reference shots because I had only managed to find one for one side and I found it the other, and they seem to be the right size, and that is pretty much where they were, and it was to that commenter's credit, I don't know the name, sorry, but you'll see he's in one of my videos commenting, quite correct. So I've now put that on like that. Then we've got a nice bit of stencil data here with the I guess these are the walk areas, and they are they're fine. They go down nice. They're yellow, which is a bit odd, but I guess that's due to the colour of the camouflage. And they're in sections, so I mean, you know, a bit fiddly, but they go on no problem. And then we've got a few markings over here, just showing where certain panels are, and there's a medical first aid one there, and that completes it. So it's not a massive job putting the decals on there. And now you can see it's been glossed in, and the two camouflage colours have come together, so hopefully you can see what I was mentioning about with the wrong colours before. And I'm quite pleased with the way this is coming together now. So the next thing to do is I'm going to put on the guided rockets or missiles. I'm going to actually fix those at this stage now so that they can come in with the weathering. I am going to leave off the aerials and the rest of the bits that I've got in here. I've got a few parts. I've got the few aerials and stuff that need to go on. I'm going to put them on last, and if they stand out I might just weather them in a little bit. I've got a couple machine guns in there which I need to fix the barrels for. We've got the one that goes here. I'm going to put a metal barrel on this one, and I've snapped off the barrel on the underneath. So whether now is the time to put those on or not, I'm not sure. Probably is. So I might start fixing those barrels on so they can be painted and weathered in, and then yes, it's on to oil washes then, and oil fading, and using oils for just general weathering. And that should complete the build. I think then we're just matte it down once we're happy with how the oils look, and onto the final reveal then. So yes, long process, but it's been an enjoyable build. It's a great big bird, as you can see here. It's quite a sizable plane. So yes, I'm enjoying it no end. Hopefully when we get to taking off the clear parts, hopefully all is good there, but we won't know until we come to do that. I'm imagining there's going to be a couple of problems, but we'll get to that at a later stage. So that's it for now. That completes this part, and then I'll do the weathering and finishing off the build in a separate part.